my excuse is that I've never worked with children before, and I've never done any sort of storytelling in front of anybody ever. This is the first time.
Yay!
And so, what I'm going to tell is my variation on an old folk tale that comes from Eastern Europe called The Soldier and the Sack. So, a long time ago, there was a long and terrible war. When it ended, the soldiers all left to go home. There was one soldier who had a long way to travel, longer than most. When he was on the road and down to his last hunk of bread in his pocket, and nothing else, except maybe an extra pair of socks and an extra pair of underwear. But other than that, you know, he didn't have anything, not even any money. As he's walking down the road back to his home, he passes an old beggar man. The beggar man says to him, "Pardon me, old soldier, do you have any money for an old beggar man?" And the soldier thought to himself, "Oh, no, I don't have anything to give the old man." And he thought about his hungry tummy. He thought about that one hunk of bread he had in his pocket. He thought to himself, it's a good thing to share. So he said to the old man, "I'm sorry, friend, I don't have any money for you, but I do have a hunk of bread that I can split with you. Shall we eat?" And the old beggar man said yes. So they sat down together, and they talked, and the old man asked him where he was coming from, where he was going, and all the things he'd seen. And when they had finished eating the hunk of bread, the old man said, "You know, old soldier, you have a good heart, too good a heart to be down to your last hunk of bread. I've got something I want to give you." And the old man picked up an old, ragged sack, more beat up than anything you've seen. Looked like it could barely hold a handkerchief and not fall apart. And he said to the soldier, "I want to give you this sack, and it's very special." And the soldier said, "Oh, really?" And he wasn't so sure, quite honestly. And he said, "If you take this sack and you hold it open, and you say to anything, 'Get in this sack,' it will immediately get in there." Well, the old soldier was thinking to himself that he had seen magical sacks before, and he was pretty sure they didn't look so beat up and ragged and old. And he thought the old man was probably either crazy or playing a joke on him. But he did think about his extra pair of underwear and his extra pair of socks, and he thought, well, I can put those in there. And he said, "Well, okay. Thank you, old man. Nice knowing you." And he walked on down the road. Well, it was getting rather late in the evening now. The sun was starting to go down, and the soldier was starting to get hungry again. And across his path, what do you know, there walked a little flock of chickens. And the soldier looked at those chickens, and boy, did they look delicious. He said to himself, "Oh my goodness, I wish I had those chickens in my sack." And what do you think happened?
They went in the sack.
Those chickens fluttered up in the air and jumped into a sack, every last one. The soldier barely believed what happened. Oh my goodness, this sack really is magical. So he continues on his way down the path, and he finds an inn. He walks in, says to the innkeeper, "I'll tell you what, friend, I haven't got any money, but if you cook one of these chickens for my supper, you can take the rest in payment. How will that be?" And the innkeeper said, "Oh, that's just fine." So, as he was eating his chicken dinner, he looked out the window of the inn, and he saw this big, old castle. Castle that probably looked pretty beautiful once upon a time, but now looked like it was pretty well falling apart. And he said to the innkeeper, "Tell me, friend, what's up with that old castle? Why does it look so dingy and old, and who lives there?" And the innkeeper said, "Oh, nobody lives there, except a terrible old demon. And he torments us night and day. He takes all our money, our crops, our pottery. He even eats our cats and dogs." And he said, "Really? Well, why don't you do something about it?" And the innkeeper said to him, "Oh, you don't know this demon. He's 10 feet tall. He's got a face like an alligator, horns like a bull, and paws like a bear. And the old soldier leaned back after he finished his chicken dinner and thought about this. Wondered if there wasn't something he could do about it. So, it was getting on pretty late in the night now. He had finished his dinner and he was feeling well fed. And he walked up to that castle. He didn't have much of a plan, but he was pretty sure he could think of something. And he knocked on that door. And the door started to open. And who do you think was there? The demon. All 10 feet of him. His alligator face, his bull horns, and his bear claws. And he looked down at the soldier and said, "What do you want?" And the soldier couldn't believe what he was looking at. And he just looked up at that demon and said, "Da, da, ah." And the demon said to him, "If you don't tell me what you want, I'll eat you right now." And the soldier looked up at his face, and he could even see a little cat tail hanging from the corner, stuck in his teeth. He mustered all of his courage, and he pulled open his sack, and he said, "Mr. Demon, do you know what this is?" And the demon said, "A sack." And the soldier said, "Well, get in it!" And all 10 feet of that demon went right into that sack. His alligator face, his bull horns, and his bear claws. Well, the soldier tightened up that sack, twisted a knot in it, and he sat on that sack as fast as he could. Oh boy, did that demon fight and squirm. But no matter how hard he tried, that demon couldn't get out of that sack. And that soldier sat on that sack and he said, "Mr. Demon, you gonna settle down so we can talk?" "All right." So the soldier got off the sack. He opened it up just a little bit down in there. You can see that little alligator nose. Now there's something I want to tell you about demons. 2 things, actually. 1, demons have very sensitive noses. Not a lot of people know that. 2, if you ever make a demon promise anything, he will keep it. So, what did the soldier do? He reached in that bag, grabbed that demon by his nose. And that demon hollered and squirmed and begged that soldier to let go of his nose. And he said, "Oh, I'm not going to let go of your nose, Mr. Demon. Oh, I'll do anything, just let go of my nose." And the soldier said, "I want you to promise me something, Mr. Demon." "Oh, very well." "Mr. Demon, I want you to promise me that you will leave this town as soon as I let go of you, and you will never return." "Very well, I promise." "And Mr. Demon, I want you to promise me something else. I want you to promise me you'll never hurt anybody ever again, and you'll never take anything that doesn't belong to you." "Very well." "All right, Mr. Demon, I want you to make one last promise to me. I want you to promise me that you will never eat another cat or dog again as long as you live." "Oh, oh, oh, I guess so." He said, "Promise now." "I promise." So the soldier let go of his nose and he opened his sack, and that demon flew away and nobody ever saw him.